Lured by high-paying jobs promised by human trafficking syndicates, this could have been what happened to the 47 Malaysians who were recently freed from detention in Cambodia. And to find out if this was really the case, the Bukit Aman police, having launched its probe, have already begun collecting intelligence. Through this intelligence, police will, among other things, uncover how they were taken to Cambodia and what promises were made to them. Sarawak police earlier revealed that the victims apparently knew about the fake job offers through Facebook and WeChat. Once they arrived in a house in Cambodia, they were asked to surrender their phones and passports to the men who guarded and controlled them. Based on the information received from the 8 victims, they were asked to follow scripts and act as bank officers and answer telephone calls as part of the modus operandi used by the Macau scam. The victims were also ordered to promote online gambling through telephone calls and short messaging service to the telephone numbers. Now, in regards to this issue, we have with us in the studio now Julau's MP, YB Larry Seng, to discuss further on the matter. Hello, YB. Thanks for joining us on 7 Edition today.
Thank you very much.
Right. First of all, who are the people in this case are vulnerable to such scams that are being offered to overseas?
The 47 that we have met, most of them, I would classify them as at-risk youth who are from low-income families, possibly poor, broken families as well. And I think they were all lured by the opportunity of looking for jobs with high pay, which they probably would not be able to get back home in Malaysia.
Right. Would you want to detail maybe a certain place where you can refer to as reference for these type of people?
From the 47, 40 of whom are actually from Sarawak. And when I met them in Banting Minchai Provisional Prison, I noticed that many of them were young, on the age of 20 plus year old, and they were also not very highly educated, but nonetheless, being young, they were willing to take risks. They were willing to go far away places and to seek job opportunities. I'm actually particularly concerned that in this case, Sarawakians were being targeted because Sarawak, as you know, is one of the poorest states in Malaysia, although despite being one of the richest resource states in the country. And just to give you an example, in the case of Pakan, which was recently announced by the Minister of Kementerian Luar Bandar, she mentioned that Pakan is actually the poorest district in the whole of Malaysia, and that's the district within my constituency. And I know that several other districts in Sarawak are actually classified as being poor. So I think in this particular case, Sarawakians were being targeted, and unfortunately, they were caught in Cambodia.
Right, okay. It's very interesting on that matter. For these people who are prone to these kind of scams, why do you think they don't use the proper channels provided by the government?
I think a lot of them were heavily dependent on friends, words of mouth, social media, Facebook, WeChat, WhatsApp, and also by hearing stories of people who have probably been to Cambodia or other countries and have actually come back to say that they have actually received such high-paying jobs. I think these are probably the reasons, contributing factors that cause them to actually take up opportunities elsewhere without getting full information on the company's background or the people that they're actually working for.
I see. Well, in that case, would you think there would be a suitable way for the government to implement so that these people don't depend on these kind of offers or interesting offers to seek for jobs?
I think it's very important that the government should create jobs locally, create jobs in Sarawak, create jobs in Malaysia, find opportunities to bring foreign direct investment, and more importantly, to create industry whereby locals will actually be able to participate in a bigger way. You know? It's not just about creating jobs, but also creating opportunities, business opportunities, which I feel that in this particular case in Sarawak, more could have been done. Just to give you an example, in my constituency of Julau, there are many people who are probably self-employed, but there is no industry simply because there is no area that's actually gazetted for industrial development, you know. I mean, these are examples whereby maybe the state government can actually look at in terms of creating opportunities for companies to invest in Sarawak, and also for the federal government to come and participate on how we can see how we can actually develop the infrastructure so that more companies can actually create an opportunity for locals.
Do you think that when these kind of things are implemented in the future, when it's already out that governments are providing the proper channels, do you think that people would actually go there? Because these people, you see, they're trying to seek other paths and they're not really going through the proper channel that are already there.
But I think what's important is options. You know, people should have options. They should be given the opportunity to decide what is available locally and what are options available elsewhere. I think in this particular case, there is not many options available in locally, so which is why they have not much choice, but to also look elsewhere, overseas, in countries whereby one would consider as third world countries, or even perhaps even worse off than Malaysia. I can give you a few examples. In Sarawak, there are many people who are from rural constituencies who are working in far-flung countries like Siberia, Africa. In this particular case, I know there were 8 Malaysians from Sarawak who are actually stuck in Liberia at this moment, detained, possibly scammed as well. And it's when even they travel as far as Americas, Papua New Guinea, looking for jobs. And often industries that are actually dangerous, risky, and these are the things that people are willing to go for simply because they don't have the opportunities back home.
Right. But then again, you know, they know, for some people, they know sometimes things seem dodgy, but they choose to take the offer. What are the factors that seem attractive to these people to take the offer? I
think for those who actually went, I have my suspicion as to their qualification. You know, they possibly they may not have been graduates. You know, they may not have high qualifications, which is why they can't possibly find jobs locally. And because due to that factor and possibly other factors, they have to look for job opportunities elsewhere. So I think for a start, we need to the government needs to think seriously on what sort of training qualifications that are suitable for the job market, so that there's less mismatch, and also furthermore create industries that are relevant to today's needs.
Right, but what is it that's attractive to that? I mean, in a way, why are they attracted to these kind of offers? Is it because it's providing attractive sum of salary?
Yes, definitely.
Right.
In this particular case in Cambodia, they were offering $1,500 US per month, and that's very high pay, considering that if they were to look locally in Sarawak, they could probably earn about 1,000, 2,000 ringgit. And some of the families that I've spoken to, they are also poor families, whereby they have many brothers and sisters. And some of the kids who are working in Cambodia, they need to come back to help with the family, you know, help financially. So I think because of the limited job opportunities back home, they have to go elsewhere. Yeah.
Okay, right. Well, I have one more question for you. For people out there who may fall prey to these kind of scams, what are some of the warning signs that they can take to look out for any potential scams behind jobs that are being offered to them?
I think it's important for them to first check the background of their employer. If it's something that sounds too good, it's probably not true. And it's important also to check with the government. You know, now I understand that the government is also looking at creating, possibly thinking of setting up agencies to actually cross-check information as to whether these companies are legit. And I think it's important for locals, particularly those not just in the urban area but in the rural area, who lack information, who lack connectivity, who lack communication with the outside world. I think it's very important that they approach them first as the first point before they actually consider taking opportunities elsewhere.
Right, YB, I think that's all the time we have for you, this session today. Thank you for joining us in the studio. Before we bid goodbye to our guest, I would like to thank you again, YB, for joining us on 7 Edition.